Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Carr out of the shotgun, has Alvin to his left.
He's got pressure coming.
Now he brings Alvin to his right. Takes the snap, stands. He's in trouble, ball's loose. Picked up by Valdez-Scantling, but that's it.
Obviously disappointing. Really my biggest takeaway probably from this game is just we didn't finish. We didn't finish drives. We didn't finish out the game. We didn't finish the second half very well. And that's the things we've been doing the last couple of games. So again, you're gonna be in football games, and these one-score games against good football teams at home. You got to be able to finish off. We did a lot of things in the game that we set out to do and play the game in a lot of ways that we wanted to, but we didn't execute in crunch time.
Saints lose to the Rams 21-14. They fall to 4-8 on the season, just 3-4 at the Dome. It's such a conflicting loss. It's so weird to say it this way, but it's such a conflicting loss. On Sunday, Atlanta loses at home to the Chargers. And so a win, and you knew that when you kicked off against the Rams. So a win over the Rams would have put the Saints one game back in the loss column. Now, I know they didn't have the tiebreaker, but one game back in the loss column with 5 to go. Like, if you win the game against the Rams on your home field, it is very much within reach. The division is very much up for grabs with 5 games to go. And all of the things that have plagued you, or that plagued you during the 7-game losing streak, all reared their ugly head. You couldn't finish drives. Your run defense in the second half was atrocious. No Eric McCoy, no Lucas Patrick. Nick Saldiveri went down. We know Taysom got hurt at the end of the game as well. But all of the things that have been a problem during that losing streak all cropped up again. And that's a loss. So I said it's conflicting. On one hand, it's conflicting because you found a way to win. You're going to New York this week to play a miserable Giants team in a very winnable game with a not likely, but not impossible shot at the division. But now that you've lost, your playoff hopes for all intents and purposes are over. Mathematically, the Saints' playoff odds have dropped now to less than 1%. So with 5 games to go, and you're really 3 games back with 5 to go, you've got a less than 1% probability of making the playoffs. So I know this team's going to fight and play hard and try to win games. But really right now, you've turned the page to look to the future. As for the game itself, the way it started is probably what's going to get stuck in your craw, at least for me anyway. You open the game with a 12-play drive. You can't finish with a touchdown, but you finish with a field goal, you get points. So you're controlling the ball, you're controlling the clock, and you get points, you're up 3-0. Then, boom, you force a 3 and out. Remember, one of my big concerns in this game was the Saints' defense and their ability to stop the Rams' pass offense. Well, a pass game that torched you a year ago, and now you're without Lattimore and Adebo. So you force a 3 and out, then you get the ball and you go on a 14-play drive, and you actually get in the end zone, man. Beautiful run by Alvin Kamara, powering his way into the end zone at the goal line, and then it's negated because Taliesin Fuanga was an eligible man downfield, which there was it wasn't a screen. There was no reason for him to be downfield. So the touchdown comes off the board, and then Trevor Penning gets an illegal chop block call, and then Blake Grupe misses a 36-yard field goal, just his second miss of the year. Misses a freaking chip shot. So a 14-play drive goes for naught, and instead of being up 10-0 and being in complete command of this game, you're up 3-0 and you've left the door open. It felt uncomfortable at that moment. Still, the defense was really good in the first half. You held Stafford to just 23 passing yards in the first half. That was the first time the Rams had been shut out in a half in the regular season under Sean McVay. Like, let that sink in. The last time the Rams were shut out in the first half of a regular season game was 2016, incidentally, against Atlanta. Now, the Patriots shut them out in the first half of that Super Bowl when the Pats won at 13-3. But, I mean, your defense, which had been much maligned, was playing great in the first half against a formidable offense that's now healthy. But similarly, as impressive as the defense was in the first half, they were equal parts disappointing in the second half. These were the Rams' second half drives. Touchdown, punt, touchdown, touchdown, end of the game. I mean, Matthew Stafford, who threw for 23 yards in the first half, threw for 160 in the second half. I mean, everything you did well in the first half unraveled defensively in the second half. Credit Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay for making the necessary adjustments, whatever they were, but they flipped that switch in the second half. Even after you tied the game with the 2-point conversion, you let them go right down the field on you to take the lead right back, which was so disappointing, man. 8-play, 56-yard drive, just under 3 minutes off the clock. I mean, they just snatched the momentum right back from you. One positive is Alvin Kamara. This is obviously a mostly lost season, and there's not a whole lot to celebrate. But if you didn't notice, Kamara, 23 rushes, 112 yards. For Alvin now, he is on the season just under 900 yards. He's at 894 rushing on the season. It means Alvin Kamara is 106 yards away from his first ever 1,000-yard rushing season. He's never had a 1,000-yard season in the NFL. So he is 106 yards away from his first 1,000-yard season, which he will no doubt achieve, and that's great to see. You know, Kamara is a guy who deserves a tremendous amount of respect. There's a lot of guys who, when they wanted contracts, would have held out, would have played hardball. Kamara played. And even as things with this team unraveled in a 7-game losing streak, he's continued to come out and play his best football of his career, and now he's in line for his first 1,000-yard season of his career, which is awesome. So that's something on an individual level to cheer for, or as they play out the string here with 5 games to go. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Taysom Hill's injury, which is probably the single biggest takeaway of the game. Darren Rizzi did confirm on Monday what we all feared Sunday when Taysom Hill was carted off. No.
Taysom's got a knee injury. He's going to be, looks like it's going to be season ending for him, unfortunately. I think he'll probably get a second opinion on some of the stuff, but looks like he'll be season ending.
He was asked to follow up his ACL, didn't specify, but Taysom Hill done for the year now. Taysom missed. There's 2 parts of this. There's what it means for this year's team, and then what it means for Taysom's future. And we'll delve into this more as we go along here. But Taysom missed 3 games earlier in the season due to injury, and your offense went in the tank. The injuries on the interior of your offensive line and Taysom Hill, starting with the second half of that game against Atlanta, just showed how much of an issue you had. And now, without McCoy, without Lucas Patrick, Saldiveri gets hurt during the game. You're right back where you were on the interior of your line, and then Taysom gets hurt. So it feels like all the progress that you felt like you had made, you just reverted to where you were. And as for Taysom, 34 years old, contractually, we don't need to get into too many of the numbers now. Suffice to say, it wouldn't make sense for the Saints to move on from Taysom after this season. He's going to have a long road of recovery ahead of him. I mean, it's December now, so guys come back from ACLs, from knee injuries, but he's going to have a long road of recovery to think he might be available for the beginning of the season. And that would be in his age 35 season. How much more does Taysom have in the tank? We marvel at him and what he's been able to do, but it is a legitimate question right now what his future holds in New Orleans and in the NFL, period. I expect this team will continue fighting with 5 games to play, but my feeling has pretty much been that you've only got. I mean, I said this even before the Rams game, and yes, I picked the Rams to win, but that's not like I'm backpatting. I also picked the Browns to beat the Saints. I was dead wrong. So, I think there's 2 more wins. I think you win this week in New York. I think your offensive line, it looks like they might get McCoy and Patrick back this week. And the Giants are just atrocious. Like, I get it's a road game, but that's an atrocious football team that's not trying to win, and you should go win it. And I think you can beat the Raiders on your home field, but that's probably it. I think 6 wins is probably where this team tops out. You're going to be looking somewhere around a top 10 pick. And the focus for the organization will be the future. Yeah, we'll watch the team over the final 5 games and see how they play out the string, but I don't know that I foresee any more than 2 wins the rest of the way for New Orleans. Hard to imagine that they beat Washington at home, or that they beat Green Bay, at Lambeau, or that they win at Tampa when Tampa's likely going to be playing in Week 18 for the division. So Saints will steer their focus toward the future. We'll continue to watch and follow and see how some of these young guys may continue to develop throughout the course of the season, some of the storylines that may help lead the Saints into the offseason. But certainly a disappointing result for a game you felt like they could have won, but that's a familiar refrain. We said the same thing against Philly. We said the same thing with the first game against Atlanta. It's just how you end up a 4-8 football team right now. So we'll continue to watch and see what the future may be. But it'll be a pivotal offseason for New Orleans. It looks like, even if not formally, informally, that's already begun. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.